Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long.
You can compare apples to apples, but nothing compares to a Sage Fruit apple.
Winning quality in every bite.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Raceday Live from the Sage Fruit stage here at the Huset Speedway. It is the third night of a big Labor Day weekend, but it is the opening night of the BillionAuto.com Huset's High Bank Nationals presented by Menards. It's Ace Ready Mix night here, and the quest for a six-figure payday begins here this evening. My name's Shawn Gibson. Connor Wade joining me here, and our first guest of the afternoon, Scott Bogucki, the driver of the Liebig Motorsports number 10. And Scott, right off the bat, this has been a career year for you here in the States as far as 410 sprint car racing is concerned.
Yeah, you know, I've been fortunate enough to be hired by Shane out of Rapid City, and you know, we really have had a great year. You know, made the Nationals out of a qualifying night. We won 3 races. We were solid last night. I made error, got in a fence and damaged some stuff, but you know, it's really been a great year.
Did you see this success coming at the beginning of the year whenever you got the ride? You know, did you guys put a lot of hard work and specifically prepare to be able to you know, be as much a contenders as you have been, or has it kind of come as a surprise as just kind of as it's gone?
No, I think we could be successful. That's why we got together. You know, I'm fortunate as far as Shane will buy whatever we need. We have the most beautiful race cars I've ever personally sat in, which, you know, that's definite when you're racing with these guys. You need to have the equipment to do it, and we have it. We have a good amount of it, and Shane knows what he's doing on the wrenches, so we normally have a hot rod.
Again, career year for you, and a lot of people, I think, really recognizing Scott Bogucki for the first time, but it's certainly not an overnight success. You've put a lot of hard work into your racing career, starting in Australia and then putting in the miles and the time and driving a lot of different cars here in the States to get to this point.
Yeah, it's not been easy by any means. It's been a long battle, but I always had a vision of what I wanted to do and just kept trying as hard as I could to make it happen, whichever path was necessary at the time. So, like I said again, I'm fortunate that Shane saw that in me and gave me the opportunity, and now I think some other people have seen it too.
Johnny watches a ton of sprint car racing in Australia every off season. I've slowly kind of started to get a little bit more into it, and I would love to go down under and watch sprint cars one day. What are the biggest differences there between here? And there's 2 specific things I want to ask you about. I always hear the racetracks are much different and the tires are much different. Is that the case?
Yeah, no, it really is. I went home for the first time to race in quite some time in 2020. I think Johnny was actually there. And went back on the Australian tyre, and it really kind of messed my feel up the first night or so, getting used to it. Between that and the dish wing opposed to the flat wing, I was lucky enough my guys were like, hey, let's keep you on a flat wing to what you're familiar with, because it was a big enough change just with the tyres.
You won a preliminary night at the Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic, really kind of put your name on the map as far as the international sprint car scene is concerned. How instrumental was that victory into launching your career here in the States?
I think it was important that people could see I could do it in a 410 as well as in a 360, because before that, my other previous big 410 race was in like 2014, so it had been quite some time in between. So yeah, I definitely think it was good to rejolt and to get my name out there back into some people's eyes.
How do people in Australia view sprint car racing in the U.S.? You know, I know that fans in the U.S., we always hear about drivers that go down underneath over the off season. How do those in Australia view sprint car racing here?
I mean, it's the pinnacle of sprint car racing, honestly. That's why, you know, myself, Kerry, everyone else, we've all came here. You know, if you want to do it for a living, there's just not the opportunity anywhere else like there is here. As far as for the money, the amount of racing, just like I said, the opportunity in general, it's definitely the pinnacle of sprint car racing here in the U.S.
You've done everything from run your own team to now driving for Shane Liebig, and we know that he's a former racer himself. Does driving for somebody who sat in the cockpit make a difference to you?
I think it gets me told off a lot more, because he'll tell me he would have ran it in harder, or he would have done this, or he would have done that. I hear that quite often, but it's, you know, and then at the other time, like last night, you know, I made a mistake. He knows what it's like. You're out there running as hard as you can. You're trying to get results. You're trying to perform. You can't always hit the nail on the head.
I feel like you've had just so many strong races where those little mistakes occur, right? River Cities, passed a ton of cars, DNF late. Red River Valley was a little bit out of your control. Do you feel like you're close to just everything coming together for you and you putting a whole night together where you can reach your full potential?
I really think if we could just get a little bit of luck. We've had a lot of bad luck, honestly. Like I said, Shane, he buys whatever's necessary, and we've had a lot of failures that honestly shouldn't have happened. It's not from lack of maintenance or lack of effort. It's just a straight component failure like you spoke of in Fargo. So like I said, I think we're not chasing speed like a lot of people are trying to find speed. We've got that. I think if we could just get a little bit of luck, we can start to get some wins on the board.
From your first time racing with the World of Outlaws to now being a true contender here for a $100,000 top prize, what has changed about your mindset going into a big weekend like this?
The boys are pretty good, late in the afternoon after we finish work, and they let me relax. I don't know anything's changed. I think it's just in time. The longer you do it, you get more relaxed at it. Honestly, it's a long apprenticeship to, I think, run in the front of these. You got your exceptions like Corey Day and Emerson and a few others, but, early days, everyone told me it's a, 8 to 10 year apprenticeship to be consistent up front. And I think if you look back at your guys out on the road, it's taken that long. It really has.
A lot of people have been talking about the format this week. Obviously, last night, standalone show. Tonight begins to have an effect on tomorrow night, the $100,000 payday. Did you like kind of starting the week with just a easygoing night that doesn't carry over? Did it make it a little bit more of a wild card in your opinion?
No, yeah, I definitely think, especially we ran here last Sunday and honestly we struggled, so it was good to come here, change a bunch of stuff and get some speed straight out the hole. So, we were good last night and hopefully that carries on into tonight, and we have a really solid night which will carry into tomorrow.
We know drivers in this day and age put in a lot of work away from the racetrack, watching video, analyzing data, and things like that. Tonight, with the format, we've got the revenge draw. Have you ever given any thought to who's out there? If this guy's out there, I want to give him a big number, or if I get a low number and have to give it away to somebody, I'm going to...
He doesn't even know what it is.
I didn't know I had a revenge draw. How do I get that?
Okay, so... the top 4 from each group are going to be locked into the redraw, just like last night. But instead of you drawing for your spot, you're going to draw a number, and you have to give that number to somebody else in the field. And somebody else is going to have to give you a spot.
So whoever draws the 1 has to give it away?
Yes.
That's going to hurt more than getting given the 8.
How does that kind of change your mindset? Are you going to think like, if I get the 1, I'm going to give it to this guy, or if I get the 8, I'm going to give it to this guy?
It's certainly going to make me look and see who of the other drivers, if I'm in it, I've done bad by in the past.
Again, $100,000 payday here this weekend. We know what was supposed to happen here back in June before the floods came in. And you actually had some personal loss in that flood here as well. You were affected just as much as many of the race fans were.
Yeah, I was lucky. I got out early. I had a great friend, Joel. He came down and pulled me out. But, it was beyond anyone's control. It was a bad deal. But the weather's perfect this weekend, and I'm glad everyone's come back, and we're here to go again.
Where do you stay at whenever you're in the States throughout the year?
During the race season, I stay at Rapid City with the team, work on the car during the week. Shane and Chad, they both have their own businesses, and we have to drive 12 hours every week back and forth. Like it's a bigger deal on them than most people would realize. It's not just around the corner to any racetrack. It's 5 hours just to here. So I stay out there with them, work on everything to take some load off of them so they can focus on their businesses, and then during the winter go back home.
We always hear people talk about how tough that grind of just living life on the road is. What's it been like for you, especially this year, just because you've raced on a national scale so much more?
Yeah, it's nice. At least we get to go back to a house during the week. When you're beating up and down the road in a truck and a trailer, that starts to take its toll on you. You got a little fridge, little shower. It just wears you out. So it is nice to at least get back to like a solid house every week. You got your stuff there. You got a washing machine. You don't got to find a laundromat. So that has been a nice change.
What are your expectations for the racetrack tonight and tomorrow based off of what we saw here last night?
Honestly, I hope we have a similar track to last night. I think it was good. You know, it put on good race, and well, from my point of view, it did anyway. It was around the top, but it was, you know, still kind of had its. You had to be careful, you know, a little bit treacherous. Not too bad though. So I'm sure tonight will be a little slicker. You know, it's windier today, it's warmer today, and we've already ran a night on it. But I think the guys know what they're doing. I think you guys will be in for a good race.
Is this place one of those racetracks that's a little bit different each and every time you run on it?
Yeah, I think so. We ran basically all year here, and it's been slightly different. Some nights it's gets a big ledge around the top. Other nights it gets right against the fence. Other nights we get like this. It's always a little bit different, which is good. You know, it keeps you sharp as far as driving and what you got to do to the car to stay at the front on any conditions you're given.
Coming from Australia, where the tracks are traditionally a little narrower than we see in the States, did that experience help you coming here to Huset, where it can be fairly intimidating with the walls on the inside and outside? And not that Huset is a narrow track per se, but it has that appearance with those walls.
Yeah, this is, I grew up racing at Murray Bridge Speedway, about 45 minutes from home. I'm not sure if you've been there, but it's about like this, maybe a little rounder. So this is probably the most familiar track that I came to as far as at home. You know, I go to places early days like Knoxville and Oskaloosa, and I'm like, what have I got myself into? Because we have nothing in the whole country that compares to that.
Are there any other tracks in the U.S. that you can compare to any tracks back home in Australia?
There's a couple. My old home track, Speedway City, was kind of like Burlington, Iowa, a little shorter in the straights, but rough. Like when I talk rough, on the yellow light, you got to dodge the holes so you don't pull the oil pan off the engine. You don't get that here. But other than that, Skagit is kind of similar. That's all about the same size as this. Besides Perth on the far west of Australia with the Motorplex, everything is only about this big. I don't even think Warrnambool would be much bigger than this, where the Classic is.
As a South Australian, I'm sure you pay attention to what's going on with the Adelaide 500 and the temporary sprint car track that's being built there. For the first time in years, there's sprint car racing back in the city of Adelaide. As somebody from that area, what does that make you feel?
No, I think it's going to be awesome. I just hope that the event is, you know, really successful. I hope the track is good. You know, it's hard to bring in just I think definitely in Australia, I don't know, you guys seem to build temporary tracks that are awesome off the bat. I just hope we can do the same thing, give everyone a great show and they enjoy it. It's a huge event. I mean, the whole city stops for the Clipsal 500. It's basically like building it at a NASCAR race, so I hope it takes off.
So I got one more question before we send you back and let you get ready for the night, and I'm hoping the crowd here can help me out. You've been so much fun to watch this year. Have you thought about 2025, and who here at Huset's would like to see Bogucki on tour with the Outlaws next year?
Yeah, always thinking about the next step ahead. I'm locked in the 10 car as long as Shane will have me. You know, we have a great time. We have speed. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to come out on the road, but like I said, with all their businesses, I don't think that would be a viable option for them. But maybe sometime down the road, maybe.
All right. Good luck tonight, Scott. Great to talk to you.
Thank you, guys.
Scott Bogucki, you'll see him out there in the Liebig Motorsports number 10 this evening as part of Ace Ready Mix Night at the BillionAuto.com Huset's High Bank Nationals presented by Menards.
I have a 2014 Toyota Tundra Crew Max pickup with 152,000 miles. The truck's losing some power on inclines and running rougher than normal. Having Seafoam high mileage to fuel help restore power back to what it was. The engine's smoothed out as well. Happy customer with good results.
To find out more about Seafoam products and how they can help your engine run better and last longer, go to seafoamworks.com.
I think it's a very big deal that we have Amcus, providing us with the Amcus cutting tools throughout our series and World Racing Group. It's good that we were able to get a product in that's reliable and it does the job. If for some reason we had to cut a car apart or get access to a driver or a patient, we know that this tool here is definitely the one that we're going to work the best, get us in there quickly.
There are a number of outcomes that we want students to achieve after they complete a career technical education program. One of the first outcomes is to have employability skills. We start as early as the elementary division where students are exposed. We allow students in the middle division to explore, and we want students in the senior division to practice. The opportunity to practice those skills throughout the course of their high school career is critical.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won the Daytona 500.
You spend thousands of hours on the road.
Can he do it again?
Feel hundreds of horses under the hood. But every race, lap, and victory you get starts at zero. New NOS, zero sugar. Zero sugar, 100% NOS, get after it.
If your answer to the summer heat is let it rain, we're looking for you. Join us at Toyota Racing.
Race fans, the World of Outlaws are powering into the Stockton Dirt Track for one night only. Friday, September 6th, see the greatest show on dirt superstars battle California's heroes. High speeds, huge horsepower, and wheel-to-wheel action. Tickets at worldofoutlaws.com or 844-DIRT-TICKS. Buy in advance and save. The World of Outlaws, Friday, September 6th, the Stockton Dirt Track. Be there.
We're back with Raceday live on the Sage Fruit stage. Preliminary night for the Billion Auto Huset's High Bank Nationals here from Brandon, South Dakota. Connor Wade and John Gibson with you. We just heard from Scott Bogucki. Guest number 2 on the Sage Fruit stage this afternoon is none other than the driver of the Jason Johnson Racing number 41, Carson Macedo. Carson, a 14-7 last night. Pretty impressive run.
Yeah, I wish I would have qualified. I feel like I qualified pretty decent, just didn't have a real good heat race and didn't capitalize on those gain of points. And, yeah, just kind of buried us a little bit to start 14th. But I felt like we actually had a really good race car. We kind of battled up through there. It just seemed like it was tough last night to get by guys and put them away. So you ended up in, battles that would last a few laps, and then it's hard to capitalize on those positions. So, I feel like it was a pretty good run, and I think that we, built on a few things that maybe we can take into the next couple of nights.
We talked about coming into last night as the hottest driver on the World of Outlaws Tour. It's been well documented. You guys had your struggles early on in the season. How difficult is it to maintain the positive attitude knowing that you can get back to a point like this where you're coming in as one of the favorites?
Yeah, I feel like we just had a rough go there in Volusia, obviously, and then we've had a couple of hiccups throughout the season, but for the most part, we've had a lot of consistency, and we were having a hard time breaking through to, winning multiple races, especially in a short amount of time. So it just started clicking this past couple of weeks. It seems like our car has been really good. Philip Dietz, Robbie McQuinn, and Adam Zimmerman have been putting their best foot forward and just doing a great job on my race car, and I think that it's paid dividends with our performance as a whole. It seems like our car has been pretty lights out almost every time we hit the track, and I think that makes a really big difference. So it gets my confidence up, and it feels good to have your confidence in a high spot going into a weekend like this, obviously.
When you most definitely have the potential to win races, but you're stuck with second, third, and fourth place finishes like you guys were in throughout a lot of the summer. Were there times whenever it got frustrating for you guys as a team not being able to break through and get to victory lane?
Yeah, for sure. Your expectations go through the roof when you have a really good season. And 2021, 2022, and really even last year, we were able to win, very frequently. And so when you get to a point where you're going through a season where you're not winning very frequently, and even though you're running a second and third and you're on the podium and you're still putting together good runs, it just feels like racing's all about winning ultimately, and keeping sponsors happy, keeping your team's morale up, and all that ultimately comes on the backside of winning races. And I just feel like we were struggling a little bit there to put it together, but it seems like as of late we really can get it done. So especially at River Cities, I felt like that was a kind of a turning point for us, starting 6th in that race and then battling up through. It's one thing to win a race, start on the pole, and drive away, but when you win a race, win a World of Outlaws race from not the front 2 rows, that's tough to do nowadays. So that meant a lot to us, and it just felt like we're on the right track.
What do you do as a driver to help your race team through difficult times? What do you do? Do you change the way you communicate any, or do you just kind of keep on the same path knowing that it will eventually come together?
I think that it's important to not change your game plan up too much, but ultimately I just try to communicate what I feel in the race car to get our car better, to then put ourselves in the position to win those races. And I try to, when I'm out on the track, instead of just thinking only about attacking and where I'm going to be on the track, I try to, okay, what's my car doing? What can I relay back for information to Philip that'll maybe get us to that next level so we can consistently win some races. So other than that, I think just being a cheerleader, like ultimately getting down and being, in a bad mindset or having a bad attitude brings the team morale down and only makes things worse. So I feel like just having a positive attitude and making sure that you're relaying the message that, hey, it doesn't matter if we're struggling a little bit, we'll get there. We'll figure it out together. And I think that goes a long way in a sport where, as we all know, 24 cars start the field every night and only one wins. So most nights you leave disappointed, and it just makes those nights that you do win, you cherish them, and you definitely don't take them for granted.
How much does streaming technology like Dirt Vision come into play with the race team and you as a driver? How often do you go back and watch videos and do analysis saying, I could have done this, or maybe next time we come here I try this, or watch a race from a track that you're going to kind of get a feel for the speedway?
I just think technology in general has elevated our sport as far as, our availability to data. It seems like sprint car racing never had that in the past, and now with Dirt Vision you can watch every archive. You can watch races. Let's say you've never been there before and you're a rookie contender. Well, now you can actually watch back races that other guys have ran where back in the day you couldn't do that. So I think there's so many advantages past just that. I mean, I know sitting in staging, I'm on my phone watching on Dirt Vision and seeing what other drivers are doing, what the racetrack's transitioning through towards any part of the night, and it gives you an idea of where you need to be when you fire off on the green flag instead of just being out there guessing, just from looking at the track. So past that, I think even just social media, I felt like I was pretty good last night, and then I watched actually an in-car of another driver last night in the feature race, and I thought, man, that looks really good. That just looks really comfortable. And so it tells me we still have a little bit of work to do, but I mean, imagine not having that data or not being able to see any of that. You would just think that, okay, we're in the ballpark, and then you don't really get your car as maybe as good as it could be, or maybe you're not doing as good as you could as a race car driver.
There's two things I want to talk about, Philip Dietz and Knoxville. Do you feel like Philip is finally kind of starting to get the credit he deserves for how good of a notebook he has at that place? You guys really struggled there in June, but Philip said the week after, the last time we were that bad at Knoxville, we went and won the Nationals with Jason Johnson in 2016, and then you guys came out, had a really good Nationals week, really good finish on Saturday night, battled for the lead with Larson a little bit, and I remember Philip during the open red, right after the open red, after you changed tires and stuff like that, in the trailer in the truck, I should say, updating his very detailed notebook of just setups and stuff that he had done. Do you feel like Philip deserves to be looked at as one of the best at Knoxville when it comes to crew chiefs?
I think that Philip deserves to be looked at as one of the best in general. I think he's an incredible mechanic, and I think he's proved that by winning multiple World of Outlaw races with several different drivers, and winning the Nationals with 2 different drivers. You just don't do that out of luck. So I feel like he just does a great job at a few things. He's able to watch the car, see what it's doing, and see the changes that need to be made. Philip is an engineer by trade. That's what he went to school for. So he's very detailed. He pays attention to the minute details, and that's all those little minute details add up to be a lot over the course of time. And so he's not slack when it comes to, he's always checking his tire temps. He's always checking ride heights. He's always checking all the things and measurements and making sure that all of our stuff stays consistent so that our car is as close into that window as it possibly can be. And, the last thing that's incredible about Philip is that he's just not he's such a team player, and that goes a long way. A lot of the times I get out of the car and I'm pointing out all the things I did wrong, and he's pointing out, oh, well, your car could have done this or your car could have done that. So I think with that, we're both come from the mindset of we need to do the best job that we possibly can, and it's never a blame game, and I think that goes a long way. for just the team side and that morale type. If you somebody's getting out and always blaming the other person, that doesn't go very far. So I just think he's a good guy and a good person and a really good mechanic. And I'm, like you said, I think he's one of the best at Knoxville. I mean, when we roll into there, my confidence is always sky high. And it was actually really surprising to me that we didn't run that well in June, but I knew we could come back and rebound.
BillionAuto.com, Huset's High Bank Nationals presented by Menards. Does it change your strategy as a driver coming into a race where the format is so much different and it seems to reward an aggressive posture?
I think so. I mean, the fact that there's no World of Outlaws, championship series points changes the way I drive right away, right? Because ultimately, if you ever want to win a championship, you can't have DNFs, which you can only drive so hard without having a DNF every once in a while. So that plays a big role in the way we race every night. But I think that for this race, you just kind of hang it all out there. You're trying to win the big money, and like you said, the format, it's hard because after leaving here last night, I thought, man, I actually need to qualify a little worse. I wish we could qualify about 8th or 7th, but it's pretty impossible to. When we're all within a tenth of a second, it's hard to gauge that. So you really have to go out there and just give it the best lap you can. And ultimately, being quick time, you just need to have a really good heat race and pass a couple of cars. But it would be ideal with the way the format is right now to qualify 8th, start on the pole, your heat race, and win it. I think you'd be in the redraw. But, man, if you don't and you end up in 9th and you miss the invert, you're in big trouble. So, that kind of keeps everybody honest. And I think you're going to be seeing guys really laying it out there on a weekend like this where big money's up for grabs.
Obviously, everybody is always really, in tune with the format, especially whenever it's different like we have here at Huset's. At the end of the day, though, do you just have to kind of find a way to cycle that out of your mind and just focus on going out and, just doing your best? Hey, I'm in this heat race, I got to try to win it. I'm in this feature, got to try to win it. Got to go and try to lay down the best qualified lap I can. And is it hard to cycle the thought of the format out?
I think you just don't let yourself be a victim to it. You ultimately just have to go out there and give it everything you got. The format's the same for everybody. And it does seem to me like the cream always seems to rise to the top in the end. And I feel like, you do see that every once in a while instance where it's like, oh, man, that guy, he kind of got that was a tough deal there. It was a little bit of a bad luck thing that he got into that pocket of the format. But for the most part, it all seems to work out and kind of shake out. And I just think with the way it is, like I said, with qualifying, you just have no control. You got to qualify good, and then you got to run out through there in your heat race, and there's just no getting around that. So I think it's a good thing, and I think that it's going to make it exciting for these Huset Speedway fans.
Over the course of the last couple of years, there's been a lot of talk about drivers who began their career in California like you. We come to a place like Huset, small bull ring, high bank, like most of the tracks in California. What does racing like that to begin your career teach you that is valuable to apply all over the country, and especially at a place like Huset's?
Yeah, I think it gives you a leg up rolling into a place like this just because of similar characteristics. But ultimately, I just think that the California racers are getting a lot of recognition for a couple of reasons. The first thing is that you have no choice but to be aggressive. I remember growing up racing out there, and it was like Tim Kading and Kyle Hurst were the guys to beat, and they were running on the ragged edge every night. So if you weren't running that hard, you were never going to keep up. And for us, I think that it's always easier to slow a driver down than it is to speed them up, and it seems like that role has rang true. And I think the other thing is just not having a choice. You got to travel. In order to make a living, you got to be, and so the guys that live in California, they're usually the guys that have enough talent to make it on a national scene.
Well, I'm sure you're looking forward to being back home in California for a couple of weeks. Of course, the Outlaws will be there over the next 3 weeks, so excited to see you compete in your home area. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and good luck this weekend. Would love to see you win some money.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys having me, and I'm looking forward to a big weekend.
Carson Macedo will be fun to watch at Huset's this weekend. 2 more guests on the Sage Fruit stage. Up next, he's been an outlaw for a very long time. We'll tell you more about him on the other side of this break on Dirt Vision.
Hey, Tony. Now that you're driving in straight lines, you should try one of these. It will help you turn left again.
Well, Donnie, you should try one of these. Just like the lights. When it turns green, mash the gas. You might win another championship. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long.
You can compare apples to apples, but nothing compares to a Sage Fruit apple.
Winning quality in every bite.
Welcome to our world. A world of dirt, drift, and dodging fate. A world where all of motorsport collides. A world of digging deep, of grit, glory, and bitter defeat. Inhabited by the strong, the fearless, the barely sane. Welcome to our world. Welcome to the world of NOS.
It's ARP Fasteners for whatever you race. From 2 wheels to 4. Off-road, on-road, even water. From the flat track to the salt flats. Grassroots racers, weekend warriors, and pros alike trust ARP. Made in America quality, family owned and operated. When failure is not an option, it's ARP-Bolts.com. No matter what you race.
You wanted the best, you got them for a rest. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
When you're an outlaw, racing is a way of life. We embrace life on the road, the good and the bad, and all the nights in between. But the best part of being an outlaw for 28 years has been sharing this life with my family and our fans. It's because of you that I'm proud to be forever an outlaw.
The 10-time champion from Fargo, North Dakota.
Pick up our latest gear at a track near you or from my online store at store.DonnieShots.com.
Ready to rise? To the challenge? Above obstacles. Yes! Above perceptions.
Ruttiger, implement the pass on the top lane.
Above it all.
Let's go!
If so, we're looking for you. Join us at Toyota Racing.
We are back on the Sage Fruit stage at Huset Speedway. Ace Ready Mix Night of the BillionAuto.com Huset's High Bank Nationals presented by Menards for the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. And joining us now, the driver of the Shark Racing number 1S, Logan Schuchart.
What's going on, guys?
Back at Huset's, where you've had success in the past with big money on the line. What's the feeling coming in the night number 1?
I felt like we were pretty decent last night. I felt like we could have been a little bit better. We were fast in qualifying, but actually I felt a little tight on the exit of the corners, so I felt like we scrubbed a little bit of speed. So it's always good when you can be, second or third quick right there, and then you feel like you could have been a little bit better. So we'll see. I felt like we could have been geared a little bit better also. I felt like the engine was a little luggish coming up corners. So you always want to get a good start, get yourself starting up front, and if we feel like there's room for improvement in qualifying, that's good. So lately we've been, this year we seem like we struggled a little bit with basically our whole package, and about a month and a half ago, I feel like we've been qualifying a little bit better and kind of figured something out there. So that's been a positive. We've been starting up front a little bit more, but later on in the night we've been struggling a little bit. So it's kind of same result last night, and started backing up a little bit, and I felt like we were starting to roll on the top of the racetrack before we had issues. So I feel like we're in a decent spot. We just we'll keep working on it. Our Shark Racing guys, Brendan, Lonnie, Bill, they do an awesome job, and we'll keep working on it and try and get better.
The racetrack changed a lot last night. Started a little hammered down, early on in the night through the heats and stuff, but got really, really wide in that feature, and kind of slick as well. A lot of side-by-side, slide jobs, and just good racing throughout the field. Were you surprised it changed that much? And if we did another track surface like that again tonight and tomorrow night, do you feel like that's a situation that would play well for you?
I think it was a good racetrack. I think they work really hard here at Huset's to give us the best surface that we can have, and is like you said, it was definitely narrow to start the night. I was fortunate to get a good break there in the heat race and win the heat race, but later on the night, I thought it was going to stay a little wetter than what it actually did. In the first couple laps, I was kind of sitting still sideways, and once I got the wing back a little bit, then we started to roll again. So it was kind of a little too late, starting 8th. I think we probably went back to about 11th or something like that before we started rolling forward again. So I was able to roll on the top as, some cars were having a little bit of a struggle up there with the rough racetrack to keep their car turned and be able to pull back down to the bottom of the racetrack, but I felt pretty good up there, so I could kind of carry some speed. Maybe, I don't know if as good as Sheldon and some of those guys in the front, but with the cars that I was racing with there, 7th, 8th, 9th, in that area, I felt like I could see 5th, 4th in that area, and I felt like we were kind of gaining on them before we got in our little accident.
Connor referenced you before the last commercial break by saying we'll talk to somebody who's been on the road with the World of Outlaws for a long time now, and it doesn't really seem like that for those of us who have been out here with you, but when you look back, you're one of the veterans on the series now. Does that play a part of how your mindset is coming into an event like this?
I'd like to think it helps in certain situations. You've been around the sport for a long time. You have a lot of good, young, upcoming drivers that are gassers, and I know what that was like at that age to only know one thing is stay on the gas and turn left. So, but they're very, very talented, and as you get older, there's got to be a point to where you slow down a little bit. Maybe you can use your experiences to your advantage. So I'd like to think that helps me sometimes, but also 31 years old, I don't feel like, I feel like I'm better than ever as far as a race car driver. So there's things we want to work on with our car, and I don't feel definitely as fast as what we have in years past in certain situations, but our team's working really hard, and like I said, we've gotten better with the qualifying thing here in the last month and a half, but come feature time, short racetracks, when the track slicks off, I feel like we're really at a disadvantage right now. So we're going to keep working on that, see how we can get ourselves better. But yeah, definitely I'm fortunate enough to be out here for I think this is my 11th or 12th year out here on the road. We started in 2014, so I've got a lot of great partners with Dryden, C&D Rigging, everybody at Relodyne and Duramax, Federated Auto Parts that, giving me this opportunity to be out here for a long time. So very thankful for all our partners, and just to live a dream of mine. Like I said, I'm 31 years old to be out here on the road this long, and it's definitely amazing. I'm fortunate and blessed to be out here.
When you first started on the Outlaw Tour, and even whenever you started racing with the Outlaws before you went on the road, it wasn't always like that, where you had all those great marketing partners behind you. It was a family operation. You guys sometimes honestly just struggle to stay out on the road, and now you mentioned you're in such a great situation with so many good partners. What did you do to put yourself in that position, surround yourself with good people, and get to a point where it wasn't money coming out of the family's pocket just to stay out on the road?
It's just that. It's surround yourself with great people, like you said. I think for Jacob and I, as young kids, we didn't come from money, and we worked hard to have what we have, and we didn't, we left on the road the first year with one car each, and we each had a motor in the car, and then there was an engine in the trailer with like 20 plus nights on it to start. So anybody that knows sprint car racing, that's to run the Outlaw Tour, that's unheard of. So we were in 2 cars out of 1 trailer, and basically I think it kind of built up from the very beginning. We'd have some good runs every once in a while, and some of our partners in the beginning would see Jake and I out early in the morning, working on our cars all day in the sun, and then doing all the work on our cars, mounting all the tires, running the valves, and then going out and racing that night and having a decent finish. So everybody likes, most people are going to like someone who works hard for something, and, be more likely to help them out. So I think that's a lot of where we got our help in the beginning, and it built up to people like Dave Klinger with Dryden in 2018 and wanting, a big name sponsor like him coming along and wanting to help us out.
Something different for Shark Racing in 2024. It's not a 2-car team full-time anymore. Jacob's not out here the whole time. Has that changed how you guys operate? How much feedback did you guys provide to each other back and forth, and has that changed the way the team operates this year?
Yeah, I didn't think it did as much as maybe it feels like this year. It seems like my grandpa and Jake not being around, we don't seem like we're as competitive at times. I did feel like we could bounce ideas off of each other, and that definitely helps. But I think I work with a great group of guys. We're learning things. We still, Jake's, running other racetracks that we can call and talk to each other and give feedback to each other at the same time. And for me, it's you don't want to make excuses, but the tires changing in the past year, the wicker bills, I feel like, talking about struggling on short slick tracks, with the wicker bill thing, I feel like we could, a problem that we had on short slick tracks is getting traction this year, and I feel like we were able to fix that in the past with putting a 2-inch wicker bill on, and then this year we're not able to do that. So we're trying to fix it in other ways, and I feel like other teams have definitely figured out a lot quicker than us, but we'll keep working on it.
I feel like from what I see in the pit area, you're really hands-on when it comes to working on the race car and making calls and stuff like that. Who actually makes the final call whenever it comes down to setups and stuff like that? Is that you? Do you consider yourself not necessarily a driver crew chief, but one of the more hands-on drivers in the sport?
Definitely one of the more hands-on drivers for sure. There's a lot of smart people out there, and I try to listen to them and hear what they have to say. And I was never, I wasn't the, I never took physics and all that stuff. I didn't go to college as an engineer or anything like that, so I don't know all the numbers and all that stuff. But I go off of what I feel in a race car and what feels right to me, what this change does, if that was good or bad, and I try to take as many notes as I can to, say this was good this time, this was bad that time, and learn from that. So kind of a R&D type thing. But I work, like I said, with a couple great guys, Lonnie Judy, Brendan Collum, Bill Klingbeller, who are smart people, and I try to talk to them as much as I can, see what they see on the racetrack, what they see from other cars, how we could be better. So try and work the best we can as a team to get better.
Everybody wants to win $100,000 here on Sunday night. Looking back from your series debut in 2014 to now, does the use of that money and how you would spend your share, has it changed from the time that you were out here as a young kid to somebody who is now in the process of building a house and putting things together back home for a life maybe down the road, maybe not on the racetrack?
Yeah, I don't know what I would have thought of doing with $100,000 when I was 22 or something like that if we were to win. Corey Day, that's amazing. I don't know, 18 years old. I don't know how he gets paid, but what do you do at 18 years old and you win that kind of money? I have no idea. But for myself, yeah, at 31, next couple of years, who knows? I got my girlfriend Summer over there selling T-shirts, so life moves fast at this time, and I'm sure we're going to want kids and a place to live and all that stuff. So at 31, I could spend $100,000 pretty quick, and preparing for our future. So it goes. $100,000 would go a long way for sure.
You and Summer, a lot like Johnny, you guys live the motorhome life, so you're not flying in and out every weekend. You guys are on the road in the motorhome, driving from one racetrack to the other, and maybe staying somewhere in between in the downtime instead of driving back home. So you really don't get to Hanover quite a bit. What's life like for you guys? Being on the road pretty much every single week out of the year.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot. Like I said, I've been on the road for 11, 12 years now, so something in the very beginning that I didn't really enjoy that much for somebody that didn't leave Pennsylvania a whole lot as a kid. I kind of considered myself a homebody and love, all my friends, family, everybody at home, and I still, can't wait to get home to be able to spend time with them. But I enjoy time on the road. I've met lots of fans, friends, made family out on the road, and people that I enjoy seeing. So definitely, I think one day when I'm not traveling anymore, that'll be one of the the saddest or toughest parts about it is not seeing those people anymore. So you make relationships all over the country, and I think it's a pretty awesome life that we all get to live.
Huset, how about it for Logan Schuchart?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Logan.
Big money on the line. We've talked to the drivers who will compete for that big money, but when we come back from this break on Dirt Vision, we'll learn about what it takes behind the scenes to put an event like this on. More from Huset's right after this.
I'm Carson Macedo. Get closer to the action with special offers and a chance to join me in Victory Lane. Sign up now to be an outlaw.
Everybody's hooking up, getting down, tearing up their little town, loading up the cooler and heading south beach bound, working on their tan, koozie on a beer can, party every night, throwing up their hands. Ain't no crying in your beer, ain't no she walked out the door, ain't nobody broken hearted in country music anymore.
How'd I do?
Great if you're not looking at the clock.
Sure you got that? I had to be faster than that, right? 100% NOS, zero sugar coating. New NOS, zero sugar. Get after it.
Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Neisteadt Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long.
You can compare apples to apples, but nothing compares to a Sage Fruit apple.
Winning quality in every bite.
Race fans, the world of outlaws are powering into the Stockton Dirt Track for one night only. Friday, September 6th, see the greatest show on dirt superstars battle California's heroes. High speeds, huge horsepower, and wheel-to-wheel action. Tickets at worldofoutlaws.com or 844-DIRT-TICKS. Buy in advance and save. The World of Outlaws, Friday, September 6th, the Stockton Dirt Track. Be there. This copyrighted Dirt Vision broadcast may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or distributed in any form without World Racing Group's written consent. Copyright infringement is a federal crime.
Kicking off our final segment from Raceday live on the Sage Fruit stage from Huset Speedway in South Dakota. Connor Wade and John Gibson with you, and joined now by the general manager of Huset Speedway and Jackson Motorplex as well, Dud Johnson. Dud, great to have you, great to be with you. You seem stressed whenever you stood up here, but you did say today's going a little bit better than yesterday. Is that one of the things that people don't understand about managing a racetrack? Is it's not always a glorious job?
Yes and no. There's a lot behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see that goes on. You know, my phone yesterday just kept ringing and getting text messages from different people of just, you know, it seemed like yesterday everything that could go wrong did go wrong behind the scenes. And today's a lot better. It's a new day. And yeah, it's part of it. It's part of the job. And you just got to deal with it, work through it. And you know, we're very blessed here to have great people, you know, that work for us and usually can take care of those things, so I don't have to worry about everything. So, you know, it's very nice to have those people in place that can do those jobs.
Well, John, I don't know about you, but we wouldn't have noticed that anything went bad behind the scenes, because whenever we come into Huset, you guys always seem to have your stuff together, and everything just goes so well. Such a great experience for fans and for drivers at this place.
Well, we try and pride ourselves on that, and you know, that's always been our philosophy at Jackson too. That, you know, 9 years ago when Todd opened that place, you know, first appearance is everything. You know, if people walk up and see trash laying around, you know, they're going to remember that and I want to come back, you know. And it's just the little things that people kind of take for granted that, you know, it's not always that easy. You don't see it done at some places, but it makes a big difference, you know, for that fan experience and overall big picture of how an event is run and how it turns out.
Overcoming adversity is something you guys have had to do a lot here in the short time since Todd purchased Huset Speedway. We all know about the flood here back in June, and you guys did a segment yesterday on what it took to recover from that, but also the storm here last year that basically took out the suites and part of the seating and part of the track lighting as well. But you guys have just somehow been able to pull everything together. It's nice that you guys have the resources to be able to do that, but from a fan standpoint, it is so awesome to be able to come here and know that no matter what Mother Nature throws at you, Huset Speedway is going to be back.
Yeah, and that goes back to having the people in place and having an owner like Todd Quiring that, you know, will make it happen, make whatever it, you know, or do whatever it takes to make it happen, I should say. And you know, we're very fortunate to have, you know, Todd behind the scenes and you know, owning these properties, because he's very passionate about the sport, willing to invest the money to make them, you know, top-notch facilities. And, you know, if we have a natural disaster like a tornado or a flood, you know, it's just a matter of days or short time frame before we can get it back, you know, and operational again. So it's we're very fortunate in that aspect.
You guys put so much into the High Bank Nationals to make it what it is. Obviously, comes out strong in 2022 with a great crowd, a $100,000 payday, which was just huge for this racetrack in this area. Year two, it's $250K. This year, originally before the flood, remember we had 2 six-figure paying races in the same week. Hopefully, at some point in the future, it's like that again. But what is the goal that you and Todd have in trying to build this up into one of the marquee events in sprint car racing?
Well, it's exactly what you just said. That is our goal, is to build this event into one of the, you know, 3 marquee events. You know, I think you've got the Knoxville Nationals, you got the Kings Royal Weekend, and I think we want to, you know, be up there with those events. You know, and you know, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, like I said, this year I think if we wouldn't have had the flood in June, you know, we had the great first night with great car count, and you know, things were. I think we're going to be tremendous for that week. And I think we have something to build on, you know, like you said, moving towards the future for next year and beyond. So, I mean, that's our goal. We're trying to do it with the late model deal as well, you know, and keep our weekly program strong. That is probably, you know, along with building big events, you still got to have a strong weekly program to have those cars to build those big events, and the crowd as well. So that's kind of our focus, is to, you know, keep building the weekly events and the big, you know, events throughout the summer as well.
As someone who's been on the road for nearly 30 years, Huset Speedway on Sunday nights was just something that was part of what you did. It was part of the culture here in the Sioux Falls area. That went away for a while, but you guys have brought it back, and it seems to me, from having been here as a spectator for quite a few of the local shows this year, that vibe is back to where Huset's is a place to be on Sunday nights. Whether you're a race fan or not, it's just a cool place to be.
It is, and, you know, I grew up as a kid coming here on Sunday nights, and that was a cool thing, you know, back 25, 30 years ago. I mean, that's what everybody did on Sunday night. They went to Huset Speedway. And, you know, like you said, with it being idle for a number of years, you know, it took a while, and I think we're finally starting to see that crowd start to come back. You know, this was our 4th full season of racing weekly programs again, and, you know, I think we're finally starting to get that. I mean, it's funny because, you know, we do a lot of promotions in the off season. We do, you know, like a sportsman show and home shows, trying to get the name out there. And there's still a lot of people in the Sioux Falls market, you know, that maybe have just moved here that don't even know about Huset Speedway, you know, and that's our job, to do that promotional aspect during the winter months, to get those people here and, you know, see what it's all about. And, you know, it's a continuous effort, but, you know, I think Sunday night racing at Huset is here to stay.
Sioux Falls seems to be one of the more rapid growing areas, definitely in the upper Midwest, but honestly probably in the country, or at least the center part of the country. How do you guys plan to take advantage of the growing businesses and the influx of people coming into Sioux Falls, and which is only about 20 minutes from here in Brandon, but Brandon as well, and get those people to Huset's?
Yeah, and that's what our job and our management team does during the off season is trying to find new ways and new, promotions to get fans here. And like you said, that fan experience of getting them here the first time. And I've heard that from a lot of people that, it's like, well, we've never been there, but, once they come, they definitely are coming back, and I think putting a good product on the racetrack really helps. That's the key. If, and when you can have, some of our weekly shows, we've had, 35 to 44 10s on a Sunday night, and with great racing, and if we can provide that and keep that going, week in and week out, I think the fans will, keep coming, because that's what they really want to see. They want to see a great product on the track and be done in a timely fashion. That's one of our top goals since we took this place over, was to be done in 3 hours, on a Sunday night. If we start at 7 o'clock, our goal is to be done by 10 o'clock and get people on the road and get them home, and so they can get to work on Monday morning. If we're racing until midnight, a lot of those people aren't coming back. And I've been pushing that for 4 years with all of our officials and everybody, is we got to keep the show moving. We can't have a lot of downtime. We got to keep it efficient and get people out of here by 10:30.
Growing with the changing population here and with the entertainment scene in general is something that I don't think a lot of people realize is a very big balancing act. You talk about the product on the racetrack and putting good race cars on the racetrack and a good show, but it's more than that, because you're in competition with all the other entertainment options that people have in the 21st century, and people expect certain amenities when they come to a live event now, things like the big screens here and the suites and all of that. The little podunk racetrack that just sits in the middle of nowhere doesn't cut it anymore when you're talking about living in a population center with almost 250,000 people now.
Absolutely, you're exactly right. And that's what's so cool, to have an owner like Todd Quiring who's willing to invest, and we just put up new video boards this year. That was one thing that we did, and every year we're going to have capital improvements, to make this place better. And that's why we're fortunate, to work here and have Todd behind the scene, like I said, owning Huset Speedway and Jackson Motorplex, because he's willing to invest that and keep that fan experience and keep those little things that, maybe say some other tracks don't have the resources to be able to do. And like I said, every year we have, I think for the next 5 years, we're going to see a lot of different improvements. I know we need to add more camping. That's one of our next goals. This area right behind us here, that we were looking at making this more of an open area for kind of like a fan zone. There's going to be some probably changes coming here down the road right behind us, in this area. So there's a lot of opportunities here, and a lot of room for growth. We've got the land across the road on the highway now, so there's going to be some things going up there that I think will be pretty cool here in the next few years.
There was so much deserved excitement around the week here in June before it got flooded out. It has to be a worrisome feeling whenever you reschedule a week that big, for just a couple of months down the road. You're probably going to worry, are people going to come back? Are drivers going to come back? Are people still going to camp? Are you impressed with the turnout and the support that we've had for the rescheduled version of the High Bank Nationals? I mean, last night's crowd was great. This Midway area seems to be, hopping with a lot of people today. People really have supported the rescheduled version.
Yeah, I think so. We've heard from a lot of people, and our phone's been ringing like crazy for the last couple weeks. So it's great to see the fans come back. You just never know on a reschedule, no matter what it is. It makes it really tough for people, because everybody already has, a lot of people have plans already, and we're fortunate to have the Outlaws already here this weekend, but just adding another day to it, I think, has helped, and hopefully we can continue and keep this date down the road as well.
It's not that easy to just move a big event like you guys have done here. Yes, the World of Outlaws were on the schedule for Labor Day weekend, but there's a big difference between $750,000 in purse money on a week in June when you have people camping and school's not in, to moving it to a holiday weekend when a lot of people already have other plans. There's a lot of financial risk involved in all of this.
Absolutely. And we looked at that, we sat down and met and talked about a lot of that, and we've taken some heat probably for dropping the 250 to 100,000, but that was part of it. We knew our crowd wasn't going to be as big as it was in June, scheduling it on this weekend, and but like I said, it's a building process. What we're hoping to do is get that 4-day event built back up, and also keep this weekend, here in Labor Day, possibly a 2 or 3 day event down the road, and give fans opportunities to, see the Outlaws and see the greatest show on dirt come to Huset Speedway.
Well, Doug, keep up the great work between you and your staff and everybody here at Huset. It's done a great job. Thanks for talking to us, and on behalf of everybody here, thank you for everything that you and your team are doing for sprint car racing.
You bet. Thank you guys, and thanks for all the fans coming out and supporting us.
How about it for Doug Johnson?
Race time just an hour or so away from cars being on the track. It is Ace Ready Mix night, opening night of the BillionAuto.com Huset's High Bank Nationals, presented by Menards for the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. We'll see all of you in the stands, and you at home, keep tuned into Dirt Vision.
This has been a presentation of Dirt Vision, a World Racing Group property. For information about upcoming broadcasts, follow us on social media, including Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. You can also watch more than 2,500 classic races and shows anytime at dirtvision.com or the Dirt Vision app.